My 34-year-old female brother Dave passed away 3 years ago, leaving behind his wife, Issy, and 8-year-old son, Miles. Issy has 2 other children who are 11 years old, twins from her previous relationship. When Dave passed away, he left all his money in a trust structure for Miles. Issy is only allowed to use the money to take care of Miles. In order to access any of the money, Issy must have my written agreement, or the trustees will not release funds. This money pays for Miles's prep school. There have been occasions in the past where Issy has lied about what she wants money for, and I've signed off on her getting money, only for her to not use the money for Miles, but for things for her other kids. Since I realized this, I normally just buy things Miles needs out of my own pocket, so that Issy can't use these needs as an excuse to extort money. A few days ago, Issy called me and said she needed some money, and she wanted to be honest this time. She said she had no money after bills and other expenses to buy Christmas presents for her kids this year, and wanted to use some of Miles's money to do so. She said she won't spend extravagantly, but she knows that Miles will be getting big gifts from our side of the family, and she won't be able to give her kids anything. She said she doesn't want the twins to resent Miles more than they already do. Miles has told me they bully him at home, and that she just needs a bit of help to make things equal. I was a bit irritated that she was trying to excuse her lack of parenting as the children's fault, and that the only way she could think to stop her kids' bad behavior is to use Miles's money as a shortcut. Ultimately, I said no, because I feel like spending Miles's money on people who are cruel to him would not be what he wanted. He's not old enough that I want to burden him by asking him directly, and would be against the spirit of the trust my brother set up. Issy has been blowing up my phone, making me feel like trash for saying no, saying I am ruining her Christmas, and making Miles's siblings hate him more, and it's really starting to get to me. But on the other hand, I'm not sure I can justify saying yes, and I don't want this to open the door to further requests. At the end of the day, this is not even my money. Someday, Miles will have access to the money and the accounts, and every time I sign off on a request, I think if I had to answer to an older Miles, would I be able to justify the purchase? And the answer here was no, but I'm really struggling. Am I the idiot? Edit. Answers to FAQs. 1. Why did Dave hate his wife? I don't know. We weren't very close before he died, and the seances have not given me a clear answer. I have no clue why he did it this way. Please stop asking. 2. Does Issy receive an allowance from the trust? No. 3. Why can't I give Issy an allowance? I cannot change the terms of the trust. I cannot make the trust pay out a monthly stipend. As I understand it, not even the trustees can do that. If there was a specified allowance in the trust, they could adjust the amount, but since there wasn't, I don't believe they can allocate one. 4. Can Issy sell her house? No. The house is in trust. She can't sell it. It is fully paid off, and she has no mortgage or rent payments to make on it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Using funds from a trust for things outside of the parameters set up within the trust is illegal. Do not break the law. The actual father of the twins should be the one harassed to provide financially for the twins, not the estate of the dead stepfather. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I find it extremely worrying what she is saying to her other kids. Mike's siblings hate him more. Is she actually so bad that she said to her other kids that they don't get presents because of Mike? Now, for the update. So much has happened since I last talked about the situation with Issy and the trust fund. I thought things couldn't get more complicated, but boy was I wrong. After I refused to give Issy the money for Christmas presents, she went silent for a few days. I thought maybe she had given up, but then she hit me with a bombshell. She said she was considering legal action to get access to the funds. That scared me. I didn't want Miles to get dragged into a court battle. But then, things took an unexpected turn. The twins started acting out more at school, and their principal called Issy in for a meeting. I only found out because Issy called me, in tears after the meeting. The principal had suggested that the twins might be acting out because they felt neglected compared to Miles. Issy was devastated. She said she didn't realize how her actions were affecting all her kids, not just Miles. I felt bad for her, honestly. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to the trustees and asked if there was any way to support Issy without compromising Miles's future. They were surprisingly understanding and suggested setting up a meeting with Issy to discuss her financial situation and see if there was a way to help her without directly giving her money. The meeting was tense at first. Issy was defensive, and I was skeptical. But as we talked, I realized that Issy was really struggling. She was trying to make ends meet, but she just couldn't. The trustees suggested a financial advisor to help Issy budget and manage her expenses, and they even agreed to cover the cost from the trust, as it was indirectly benefiting Miles by providing a stable home environment. Issy broke down and apologized for everything. She admitted she had been wrong to try and use Miles's money and promised to work on her relationship with all her children. I was cautious but hopeful. Then, just when I thought we were making progress, the twins got into a fight at school. It was bad enough that they were suspended for a few days. Issy was at her wits' end. She called me, not to ask for money, but for advice. I suggested family therapy, and to my surprise, she agreed. The therapy sessions were a game changer. The twins opened up about feeling left out and admitted they had been taking it out on Miles. Issy realized she had been so focused on trying to provide material things for her kids that she had neglected their emotional needs. Slowly, things started to improve. The twins' behavior got better, and they even started helping Miles with his homework. Issy stuck to her budget and even started a small side business to bring in extra income. She was determined to be financially independent and provide for her kids on her own. As for Miles, he was thriving. He was doing well in school and had even made a couple of new friends. He seemed happier at home too. The tension had lifted, and it felt like a weight had been lifted off everyone's shoulders. The best part? Christmas came, and it was nothing like I had feared. Issy managed to save enough money to buy modest gifts for all her kids. But the real gift was the change in their family dynamics. They spent the day playing games and laughing together. It was the first time in a long time that I saw them all genuinely happy. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm grateful for how things turned out. It took a lot of stress, arguments, and tears, but in the end, we all came out stronger. Issy is a better mother, the twins are better siblings, and Miles, well, he's just happy to have his family back together. And me? I'm just glad I could help in some way. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it to see them all smiling and together on Christmas Day. It's not a perfect ending, but it's a happy one, and that's all I could have asked for. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Hey, it sounds like you've been through a lot with Issy. It's great that you're looking out for Miles's future. Maybe consider setting up a specific fund for Issy's family expenses that's separate from Miles's trust. It could help her budget better without dipping into the trust. Comment 2. I had a cousin in a similar boat, always short on cash and causing drama. When we got her to sit down with a financial planner, things really turned around. It's amazing how a bit of financial education can change someone's perspective. Good on you for helping Issy out. Now, for the next story. Some background. We live on the East Coast, and his family lives in Texas. My family lives about 4 hours away. They drive to us for every holiday, birthday, dance recital, etc. We have lived here for roughly 7 years. Before that, we lived in Texas. His family takes several trips, vacations a year, and only once, this past year, came to visit us. Over the 7 years, we have gone to visit them at a minimum of 1 to 3 times per year. My husband works out of town about 3 weeks a month, so it's a lot of solo parenting for me. The weekend before Christmas, he went with his parents and siblings to Oklahoma to visit his grandparents. My children and I were unable to go, as my daughter had holiday things going on at home she didn't want to miss. He came home the Monday before Christmas and asked if we could swing a trip to Texas after Christmas to see his family, and so his dad and he could go to the Alamo Bowl. I told him that unfortunately, we couldn't. We really couldn't swing an unplanned trip financially right now, and with wanting to travel so close to the holidays, booking prices were extremely high. I also explained to him that our daughter had off of school and all sports this week, and that never happens, especially when he is home too. And I really wanted this to be a week for us to all spend together, especially since he will start traveling for work again on the 2nd of January and will not be home until the last week of January. The day before Christmas Eve, I was out shopping, and he texted me saying he knew I was going to be mad, but his dad had booked him a flight and bought tickets for himself, my husband, my brother-in-law, and mother-in-law to all go to the game. He would return on the 30th. I got upset because we had already talked about going, and I said that we just couldn't swing it this year. His response was that he knew nothing about this, and his dad surprised him with it for a last-minute Christmas gift, which is a lie because they mailed our gifts to us and our children, and he had received a Christmas gift. I asked him if everything had already been purchased, as I would like him to not go. He said yes, and that he was going because it's something he really wanted to do. We haven't spoken much since then, honestly, because I feel very hurt that he doesn't want to spend time with myself and our children before a long work trip after he's just seen his family last week and would rather spend most of the week with his parents. He says that we could just book flights for myself and our kids to go, but we honestly don't have the money, and I'm not maxing out a credit card for an unplanned trip. Tonight, he asked me if I will be driving him to the airport tomorrow morning for a 6 a.m. flight. I told him that he will need to book an Uber because I'm not waking our kids up at 3:30 a.m. to drive an hour each way to the airport so that he can go on a trip that I don't even want him going on. He says that I'm being unreasonable. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Sounds like you are a single parent already. Might as well make it official if he is prioritizing football over spending time with his children. Comment 2. For the Alamo Bowl against Arizona, your husband is a grade A jerk. This is pathetic. Now for the update. So it's been a month since my last post about the whole Alamo Bowl drama with my husband and his family. I've got to say, things took some turns I didn't expect. After he left for Texas, the house was super quiet. It was just me and the kids, trying to make the best of the situation. I was still pretty mad at him for going, but I didn't want to ruin the holidays for the kids. We did our own thing, had a little staycation, and honestly, it was kind of nice. But then, 2 days after Christmas, I got a call from my husband. He sounded really down, which was weird because he was supposed to be having the time of his life, right? Well, turns out, his dad had a health scare while they were out there. Nothing too serious, thank goodness, but it was enough to shake everyone up. My husband said it made him realize how much he missed us and how he wished we were all together. I didn't say, "I told you so," even though I wanted to. Instead, I just listened. He apologized for not being there with us and promised to make it up. I was still upset, but I was also worried about his dad, so I let it slide. Fast forward to when he got back on the 30th. He was different, more attentive, more present. He helped out with the kids, did stuff around the house, and we actually talked, a lot. He told me how the whole experience made him see things differently. He said he wanted to start putting our little family first. I was cautiously optimistic. I mean, actions speak louder than words, right? But then, he did something that really surprised me. He sat down with me, and we made a budget together. He showed me that he was serious about not putting us in a tough spot financially again. We even started planning a small trip for just the 4 of us, something we could actually afford. The kids were thrilled to have their dad home and really stepping up. It was like we were finally getting the family time I'd been craving for so long. But wait, there's more. Remember how I said his family never really comes to visit us? Well, after his dad's health scare, they started talking about how important family is and how they don't see us enough. So, guess what? They're planning a trip to come see us in the spring. I know, I couldn't believe it either. It's not all perfect, of course. We still have our moments, and I'm sure there will be more bumps in the road. But it feels like we're on the right track. My husband has been home more, and when he is, he's really with us, not just physically there, but mentally checked out. And as for me, I've been trying to let go of the little things and focus on the big picture. It's not easy, but I'm working on it. We've been spending more quality time as a family, and it's been really nice. So that's the update. It's been a wild ride, but I'm hopeful for the future. It's amazing how life can throw you curveballs, but sometimes those curveballs can lead to some positive changes. Thanks for listening, everyone. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Hey there, glad to hear things are looking up. Just curious, how are the kids reacting to the changes with their dad being more present? It's always good to keep the communication lines open with them too. Maybe consider family counseling to navigate the new dynamics smoothly. Comment 2. It's great your husband stepped up. To maintain this momentum, maybe set up regular family meetings where everyone can share their thoughts and feelings. It helps to keep everyone on the same page and can strengthen your family bond even more. Now, for the next story. My parents divorced when my 15-year-old male was 5 and my sister was 3. For a while, during and after the divorce, my dad was trying really hard to win my mom back. I remember he would use my sisters and my sadness about the divorce. For me, it was hard to go from our family being together to 2 separate homes and families. For my sister, the upheaval was also hard for her. She really couldn't get used to bouncing from home to home. Throughout all of that, Mom did her best to shield us. Even though she must have hated my dad's actions, she kept some photos of him and our family from before up in the house. My sister and I felt reassured seeing them. Even though she didn't remember those times, I think it made her feel a little more okay with how confusing it was, and Dad only made it worse. Dad gave up on them getting back together eventually, and he insisted that everything we had at his house be from him and not Mom, and we could not have photos of Mom in the home. I was 8 when he met my stepmom. I'm not sure how soon she found out that Mom still had photos up from before, but it became a huge deal for her, and she told my mom she was not allowed to have photos of her man in Mom's house. My mom remarried when I was 10. We have a few photos of my stepdad's ex-wife at home, and some from when he was married to her and my step-siblings were young. This is especially important to them because their mom is terminally ill with a condition that made her unable to take care of them. I think it's something to do with her brain. There are still photos of Dad at Mom's too. I'm less into it now that I feel worse about what Dad did. But my sister still feels comforted by them, and Mom always says he is still our dad and our family, and she wants it to be as much our home as it is everyone else's who lives there. The wall where these photos are is where Mom takes a lot of our back-to-school photos. My stepmom found out they were still up and went crazy on my mom a few months ago. She told Mom she had to do what she says, etc. It was insane. My mom told her to mind her own business, and if she stays out of her home, she doesn't have to see or worry about them. My stepmom went on a rant about Mom a few days ago, and she was like, "How dare your mom not do what I tell her and take the photos of my husband down?" I told my stepmom she's pathetic for being so bothered that Mom was a good enough mom to accept photos of Dad for our sake, and that she doesn't get to boss my mom around. I also told her to leave my mom alone, because none of this had anything to do with her. She told me I did not get to speak to her that way. I told her if she thinks she's earning my respect with her behavior, then she's even more pathetic than I thought. It's been a rough few days. My dad and stepmom both say I was beyond disrespectful. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, respect is earned, and your stepmother bad-mouthing your mother in front of you is showing you the height of disrespect. Comment 2. Not the idiot, your mom is my hero. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post. It's been a week since I spilled the beans on the whole photo drama, and let me tell you, things have been pretty wild around here. So after I called my stepmom pathetic, things got super tense at my dad's house. I thought she would just stay mad for a bit and then we'd all move on. Boy, was I wrong. The next day, my dad sat me down for a serious talk. He said that he and my stepmom had been discussing things, and they decided it was time for a new rule. No more talking about my mom's house when I'm with them. I was like, okay, whatever, but inside, I was fuming. It felt like they were trying to erase my mom from my life whenever I was there. A couple of days later, my sister, who's usually the peacemaker, got into it with my stepmom. She overheard her saying something mean about our mom and couldn't hold back. She told my stepmom that she was being unfair and that the photos made her feel better. My stepmom got all red in the face and started yelling about disrespectful children. My dad had to step in and calm things down. It was a mess. Meanwhile, at my mom's house, things were surprisingly chill. My mom didn't bring up the photo issue at all. She just kept doing her thing, being supportive and making sure we felt at home. But I noticed something odd. One of the photos of my dad had been moved. It wasn't gone, just not in its usual spot on the wall. I didn't say anything, but I couldn't help wondering if my stepmom's rant had gotten to her. Then, out of nowhere, my stepdad sat me down for a chat. He's a pretty cool guy, always been fair and never tried to replace my dad. He told me he knew things were rough and that if I ever needed to talk, he was there. I didn't say much, but it felt good to know he had my back. The biggest shock came a few days later. My step-siblings, who usually keep to themselves, came to me and my sister and said they didn't think it was right how their mom was acting. They said they liked having our mom's photos up because it reminded them of good times, and they didn't want to see us upset. We all ended up having this big heart-to-heart, which was kind of unexpected. But here's the twist. My step-siblings decided to confront their mom about it. They told her that the photos weren't hurting anyone and that she should let it go. I couldn't believe they stood up to her like that. It caused a huge argument, and my dad had to step in again. This time, he didn't take my stepmom's side. He told her that maybe they needed to rethink their approach. So, the bittersweet part, my stepmom finally backed down. She said she wouldn't bug my mom about the photos anymore. But she also said she needed some space from all of us kids for a while. It's weird. I'm relieved she's not going to be on our case anymore, but it also feels kind of sad that it had to come to this. My dad's been quiet since the blow-up. He's been trying to make things right with my sister and me, but it's awkward. We're all walking on eggshells around the house. I guess it's going to take some time to get back to normal, whatever normal is now. So yeah, that's the update. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but at least the photo war is over. Thanks for sticking with me through this crazy ride. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. I had a similar situation with my stepdad. It's tough when you feel like you're walking on eggshells in your own home. I get where you're coming from. It's important to feel acknowledged and that your feelings matter too. Comment 2. Have you tried writing down your thoughts and sharing them with your dad and stepmom? It might help to communicate your feelings without the pressure of a face-to-face confrontation, especially if the atmosphere is still tense. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.